Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're going to get started in just a moment and let folks enter into the Zoom room here, but thank you so much for joining us for this very important discussion on getting back on track. Help us here. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the final episode of our series, Getting Back on Track, Help is Here, with the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Public-Private Strategies Institute. Before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping here. If you have a question, we'd love for you to share that with us, and you can do that by typing your question into the Q&A function that you see at the bottom of your screen. Big emphasis here, please don't share any personal information in the chat or in the Q&A function. No emails, no case numbers, etc. Just to prevent any kind of fraudulent activity or any scams. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the program over to my colleague, Rhett Buttle.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Stefan. Hello, everyone. My name is Rhett Buttle, and I'm so proud to serve as the president of the Public-Private Strategies Institute. We have an amazing program for you today. We are so fortunate to be joined by our very own, our SBA administrator, Sba Looked, and of course, our amazing chairman of the Senate Small Business Committee, Senator Ben Cardin. We are so fortunate to be able to have two amazing champions with us today. Before we get this program started, I just wanted to take a moment. This is the end of the series, as you may have heard, and just talk about what a pleasure it's been. We've reached thousands of small business owners. The reason we launched this series is because we know how critical small business owners are to our economy. You create our jobs, you employ nearly half of our private sector workforce, and you're leaders in your communities. And we at the Public-Private Strategies Institute, and I know our partners in the US Senate, the Small Business Administration, are all aligned to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support your recovery and beat back from COVID-19. The series has been focused on helping to educate small business owners about the benefits of the American Rescue Plan, helping small business owners figure out how they can be vaccine leaders in their communities and take advantage of digital tools to take their businesses online and reach customers they maybe didn't even know that they could reach. Before I turn it over, I want to take a personal moment to thank my staff, Stefan and Renee, who've been the heartbeat of this series, have been amazing warriors. I want to thank the SBA team, Cynthia, Veronica, Victor, and Susan, who've been the heartbeat of the SBA team working in true collaboration on this. And with that, I will shut up. And I'm so proud to turn it over one very last time to our amazing SBA administrator, Sba Looked. Administrator, over to you.
Thank you so much. This Getting Back on Track, Help is Here webinar series was built to demonstrate SBA's commitment to better connect our small businesses to the resources they need to recover, rebuild, and gain resiliency for the future. So thank you so much, Brett, and your entire team at Public-Private Strategies Institute. You really ignited this entire thing, and you partnered with us to make this series a success. So thank you. Over the last 3 months, Getting Back on Track webinars have featured our nation's policy leaders and small business advocates and reached more than 27,000 small business owners, providing access to SBA's American Rescue Plan programs, as well as updates on our improvements and streamlining efforts, including release tools like COVID Idle, digital tools to pivot, and resources to support vaccine leadership in neighborhoods and communities across the country, which is especially critical right now as we need to fight this pandemic to fully and safely reopen our main streets, business centers, and innovation hubs. I'm really super proud of what we've been achieving through these 11 regional as well as national webinars, providing crucial information to our entrepreneurs at a time when we know you need it, and to build up all of our small businesses and entrepreneurs. We are committed to doing more as well. The National Small Business Week Virtual Summit is coming up September 13th through 15th, and so I hope you'll register today at sba.gov. We will have educational webinars, great connections with other business owners, and chats with industry experts to really propel your businesses forward, accelerate them. And of course, track us on social media to make sure that you're getting streamlined updates to all of our programs and advancements as well. At the SBA, we do believe that this outreach is an important step in making sure opportunity and capital gaps that hold back our underserved communities in particular don't limit our recovery and global competitiveness. Because small businesses are giants in our economy and a critical priority for the Biden-Harris administration. And truly thanks to the commitment to implementing an economic plan that lifts us all by the Biden-Harris administration, we're experiencing the highest economic growth rate in 40 years. And the American Rescue Plan has brought our economy back from the brink, successfully increasing our vaccine rates for adults from 5% to 60%, with 70% of adults getting at least one shot. Infusing our nation's small businesses with $60 billion in relief through the American Rescue Plan, including PPP, COVID EIDL, advanced programs, shuttered venues, restaurant revitalization fund, and more to really create more than 3 million new jobs. And at the SBA, we've been working hard to transform our existing COVID relief programs and launch new programs as well to reach our smallest businesses and those from underserved communities that were left out of early rounds of relief and are so critical to advancing our economy equitably. We did make key changes in Paycheck Protection Program in 2021 to focus on our smallest businesses. And now, just yesterday, in fact, we launched our direct forgiveness portal to help those smallest borrowers with loans of $150,000 and under gain forgiveness swiftly for their PPP loans. To date, more than 1,000 of those PPP lenders have signed up for the portal, which means that nearly half of our remaining PPP borrowers with loans of $150,000 or less are going to be able to access this tool. So you can find out if your lender is participating at sba.gov or just reach out directly to your lender to make sure that you're getting the direct support through their platforms or ours. We are making improvements across the board to our programs, and the COVID Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is especially important to us. We want this to be a simpler process with customer service experts online that are effective and can better support the small businesses who are trying to take advantage of this patient affordable loan. And we know that there have been challenges in the program, and that's what my incredible team is looking to change. And I know you're going to hear a lot more about all those specific improvements, including how to easily access microloans in COVID EIDL. And later on in the webinar, we'll have our Office of Capital Access Senior Advisor, Veronica Pugin join us. All of our efforts to offer relief have spurred optimism. We've seen it as I've traveled across the country, but we know uncertainty remains. That's what I continue to hear. So we know there's a lot more to do to support you. But putting the virus in retreat is our first and most important task. President Biden has said that we're now dealing with the pandemic of the unvaccinated. And with the Delta variant that is more contagious and more transmissible, it is crucial that we get our vaccine numbers up. Only then will small businesses be able to fully and safely reopen their doors and welcome back their customers and employees fully. We know this virus was unpredictable, but we prepared for this with the free, safe, and effective vaccines for anyone who wants one. And I know we've been talking about it in this series, but the American Rescue Plan does provide important relief to small businesses to help them support vaccinations amongst their employees with the tax credits to allow for paid time off for employees to get vaccinated and recover. So we hope all of you as small business leaders in your community are taking advantage of those programs and helping us fight this so we can reopen more fully. Small businesses employ half the nation's workforce. And so if every small business has the resources they need to help their employees get vaccinated, we will go so much further in beating this virus. And I know we're all looking forward to beyond recovery into the future and to really reimagining our economy. And I know the bipartisan infrastructure deal, hopefully you've all heard about it, is good for America's small businesses because fixing our failing infrastructure is critical because small businesses rely on it for their product delivery or to receive their customers. Delivering broadband to every home will help small businesses grow online. Addressing climate change, which we know climate crisis disruptions really affect our small businesses. All those efforts will really go a long way to strengthening our small business economy and as well as access some of the new opportunities with those investments. More than half of small business owners have said infrastructure investments are crucial to the success of their business, and 7 and 10 felt broadband was really critical to be funded by Congress. So these are much needed investments that will change the way we do business for the better, for the future. President Biden's Build Back Better agenda will also invest heavily in small business lending and investment tools through the SBA, expanding some of our programs that will really serve all of our small businesses. And we're committed to standing up those programs and those efforts to make sure that we're helping support you all as we look towards recovery and new opportunities. And it will also deliver those market opportunities directly, because there's going to be strong acceleration support and innovation to help our tech and science-based entrepreneurs commercialize their innovations, as well as help our small contractors connect and grow with the government marketplace, the largest buyer in the world. I believe that our work is really critical to this at the SBA, because we need to provide the resources and programs that our small businesses need swiftly and efficiently, and with a more personal, customer-centric approach that helps you navigate these programs. That will ensure that we demonstrate that we get your situation, we understand what it takes to start and grow and sustain a small business. That's what we're about. So we're looking forward to continuing to partner with Congress, because without Congress, this would not be possible, which is why we're so fortunate to have the leader of the Senate Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee with us today. And I have to just tout his accomplishments, because he has this shared vision with us to commit to help our small businesses, with a proven track record of really fighting and winning for our nation's small businesses, particularly those from underserved communities as well. He's done a lot to actually craft the innovative and pioneering small business relief programs that many of you have benefited from, helping you weather this once-in-a-generation pandemic. And not only did Chairman Cardin help write the Paycheck Protection Program and create the EIDL Advanced Grant Program, but he continues to prioritize access to capital for all of our small businesses, especially those who have been unable to access capital in the past, women and people of color and veterans. And he's always consistently reminding federal agencies to contract with small businesses, support small as much as they can. We look forward to partnering with Chairman Cardin, and it's an honor to have him here. He not only represents Maryland businesses where I'm from, but across the country. So please join me in welcoming Chairman Ben Cardin.
Well, thank you, Administrator Guzman, for that great introduction. Thank you very much, and thank you for your service. You're doing a great job. It's a real challenge. The SBA has been asked to do things it has never done in the past at a size that is unprecedented, standing up new programs and administering the COVID relief packages. So thank you very much for your dedication, and please express my thanks on behalf of the Congress to the men and women who are working at SBA to get the job done. Red, thank you for your leadership in regards to the Public-Private Strategies Institute and this opportunity of getting back on track. Help is here. In small business, help is here. We recognize that small businesses are the growth engine of our economy. That's where more jobs are created. That's where innovation occurs at a much higher level. We've seen that very clearly during COVID-19, how innovative small businesses have been in order to get through this pandemic. But one thing about small businesses is that they don't have the resiliency or the deep pockets that larger companies have. So when the pandemic occurred, it was obvious that we had to take action as a government to help small businesses, and we did. You've heard Administrator Guzman talk about much that was in early packages, starting from the CARES Act all the way through the American Rescue Plan, and now the bipartisan infrastructure package, as well as budget reconciliation that we will start on as early as this weekend. We have provided a package of relief in order to help small businesses. And yes, the effort to get COVID-19 under control through the vaccinations clearly is in the needs of small businesses. To get American families back on track so they can participate in our economy is critically important for small businesses. So the help, the direct help, the check payments, the child credits, and the funds that went to our school system so that they could operate safely, all that helped small businesses in our economy get back on track. But when you look at the relief that was provided directly to small businesses, it's unprecedented in size. Over $1 trillion has been made available to small businesses to get through COVID-19. The largest programs by far were the Paycheck Protection programs. 12 million small businesses participated in forgivable loans to the tune of over $800 billion. 200,000 were located in my state of Maryland to the tune of $15 billion. But we went beyond just the Paycheck Protection Program with forgivable loans. We also expanded the EIDL program to make sure that it was available for COVID-19 relief. And the EIDL loans were critically important. We have now leveraged, and we do leverage a relatively small amount of federal dollar investment to large amounts of loans. We have now had almost 4 million EIDL loans given out in relief to COVID-19 to small businesses to the tune of over $200 billion. So we've responded. We also responded with the EIDL Advance, which I think many of you are familiar with, because they're really small businesses. It's very difficult for them to get loans. They want grants. This was a grant up to $10,000, was also made available and utilized by many small businesses. We had forgivable loans under the 7A and 504 programs that we gave loans. So we had a whole host of programs that were available. Most recently, we had the Shuttered venue program, which is still open. The windows are still available for those entertainment venues, the live venues, the movie houses, the museums, to be able to continue to apply for help that deals with their revenue losses during COVID-19 because they were ordered to basically close during this pandemic. And then, of course, we passed the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. We recognize that has been it's been very successful for those restaurants that were able to get help, but many are still waiting in line as a result of two factors. Factor one was a lawsuit that put an injunction on SBA being able to administer the program the way it was passed and intended. And the second, there was not enough funds in the program in order to satisfy the total needs that were out there. So the SBA has gone through the entire allotment provided by Congress in excess of $28 billion, but there is a gap that needs to be met with additional funds, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So we're back on track, but what do we now need to do? Well, we do need to replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And I am working with Republicans and Democrats to try to find a way forward in the Senate to reauthorize additional funds for the Restaurant Revitalization Act. Now, there's no certainty in my business, but I want you to be aware this is an area that we do believe we have a responsibility, and we're going to do everything we can to make additional funds available. We're going to pass the bipartisan infrastructure program that Administrator Guzman spoke about. That's important because that gets us back on track on the infrastructure development that will help small businesses, broadband, and issues like that. But immediately after we finish that particular proposal, we'll start on budget reconciliation. All during this process, the SBA is open for business. The EIDL loan program is there. I can assure you that the members of the Senate are pushing very hard for the administration to be able to increase the size of the EIDL loans to its statutory limit of $2 million. We understand there's been challenges. We support that. We also want the EIDL targeted loan grant program to be available. We recognize there are challenges in regards to what's in the bipartisan infrastructure package, but that's not going to be acted upon until the fall. In the meantime, we're encouraging the SBA to process EIDL loans as rapidly as they possibly can. Let's get this backlog behind us and let us also move forward with the targeted advance program under EIDL. So those programs we will be pushing to continue to operate all during this period. And then as we consider budget reconciliation, as Administrator Guzman said, the lessons learned is that when we look at the underserved, underbanked communities, the minority small businesses, we need to concentrate our effort during budget reconciliation to help these small businesses that have not gotten the help that they need. I expect to get budget instructions to the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee, and we will be using those resources to try to target it to the small businesses that are in desperate need. So some good news, if you look at the bipartisan package that is moving through the Senate, we were able to get an amendment attached that codifies the Minority Business Development Agency. So that now has permanency when this bill becomes law, and we expanded its capacity. So we are making progress. There are tools currently available. EIDL loans and advances are available today. The restaurant program needs additional money. Shuttered venues are available today. You're going to be hearing about the different opportunities that are out there. Let me just conclude by saying I was pleased that we were able in Maryland and throughout the country to improve our resource partners. Maryland now has 3 offices for women's business centers. I was proud that we opened up, in addition to the Rockville Center, one at Morgan in Baltimore and one at Salisbury. And we also have a veterans center that is opened in our state at College Park. So all these services are available, and we look forward to working with the administration and with the stakeholders, recognizing we're not out of COVID-19 yet. We still have challenges. Help is here. More help may be needed. And we're going to be attentive to make sure that our small businesses get to the other side of COVID-19 healthy so our economy can continue to grow.
Thank you so much, Senator Cardin. We truly appreciate all of your remarks and updates from the United States Senate and all the hard work you and senators are doing to make sure there's more money available for many of our small business owners who are in need at this time. Thank you so much, sir. Well, with that, we're excited to continue this conversation and move forward with what we're here with for the additional side of this programming, which is talking about more specifically this region, which is the Mid-Atlantic region. And next slide, please. We are happy that we're able to have the amazing Veronica Puhin, who is the Senior Advisor to the SBA's Office of Capital Access. In this role, she leads programs and projects to deliver small business capital resources across the country with a focus on equity and accessibility. Prior to the Biden-Harris administration's political appointment, Veronica worked on equitable small business capital access for the state of California, where she led macroeconomic planning and small business operations at LinkedIn and oversaw project operations for a financial inclusion technology company focused on underserved communities and consulted government businesses and nonprofit clients on the project management and operations. As a consultant, she has also worked with nonprofit and government clients on programs targeting underserved communities with a particular focus on Latino and underbanked populations. Veronica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you to all the small business owners who are joining this conversation. This conversation is helpful for us at the SBA on one hand so that we can share more information with you about the resources available and improvements we're making to those resources so that you have the information you need. And on the other hand, it's helpful for us at the SBA to hear from you. So I've just been seeing a lot of really good questions coming in through the Q&A. We'll do our best to respond to those questions, and the ones we don't get to, I'll have access to afterwards, and we can share materials with those who registered for this webinar afterwards. And hearing your questions also helps us be aware of what are other things we need to be prioritizing to continue to improve on the programs. So thank you. Before I dive into the COVID EIDL program, just want to thank Public-Private Strategies Institute for this collaboration and creating this space and platforms so that we can all come together. Want to echo the administrator's comments on promoting access and resource small businesses. COVID EIDL is a program that aligns with that vision with a specific focus on supporting small businesses towards recovery in light of the COVID-induced economic recession. And then want to highlight that I'm excited to share improvements that Senator Cardin highlighted on us improving how we process these applications, how we get them out the door as quickly as possible. So I'm looking forward to sharing the progress made there and what we can look forward to in terms of process and our ability to meet small business needs who are applying for these programs. So let's dive into COVID EIDL. Before I share some details, it's helpful to understand audience. Stefan, would it be possible to launch that poll?
Veronica, if you want to continue on, please. Thanks.
Okay. Let's dive into the program. So for those, as was mentioned before, the COVID program is a federal small business loan program. It's been around for the duration of the pandemic, and it was designed specifically to support small businesses recovering out of the disaster known as the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, the program goes up to allows for loans up to $500,000. Senator Cardin highlighted the conversations around increasing that to $2 million. So we'll be sure to any change in that direction. The SBA will be sure to publish that and share that with the public immediately. As of right now, the application on the online portal is up to $500,000, but we can stay tuned for growth there in terms of the loan size. A couple key distinctions, the COVID EIDL program. So the COVID EIDL program is different from PPP, different from the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Those programs have been highlighted today. And it's different from other EIDL programs. So the way it's different from PPP and Restaurant Revitalization Fund is that the COVID EIDL loan program is not forgivable. So that is an important distinction. I'll get into the benefits in terms of how it's not forgivable, but it's still a valuable tool for small businesses. The way it differs from other EIDL programs that the SBA offers is that the COVID EIDL program, one is available for small businesses nationwide. So any small business that meets the eligibility criteria in the country can apply for this. Number one. Number two, the duration of economic injury, and I'll get into that in a second, is over a 2-year period. And number three, the interest rate is stabilized at 3.75%, flat and set. So that's a key distinction. Then another distinction for the COVID EIDL program is that the lender here is the SBA. So in a lot of these conversations, I have a lot of small business owners compare this to other programs that the SBA has, other loan programs. Those loan programs, a lot of those loan programs, the SBA provides a guarantee and serves that role. Ultimately, you work with an external lender. That was the case for PPP as well. For COVID EIDL, that you do not need to be engaging with another lender. The SBA is the lender in this case. So just a couple of those distinctions helpful to kind of set the context of this program relative to other SBA and or federal small business loan programs. So let's get into some of the terms. So the COVID EIDL program terms, as mentioned, the loan current cap is $500,000. For the micro category and the full, really the only difference are the collateral and personal guarantee requirements. All loans from COVID EIDL have a 3.75% interest rate for businesses, a 2.75% interest rate for nonprofits. They all have a repayment period of 30 years, and you can defer that. This is a deferment period of up to 24 months. The requirements, and this is the distinction between the micro and the full categories, for a loan, a COVID EIDL loan of $25,000 or less, there are no collateral requirements and there are no personal guarantee requirements. Once you get a loan of above $25,000, collateral requirements come in. And then for loan sizes of above $200,000, personal guarantee requirements come in. The use of funds is pretty flexible. You can use this on all business expenses that fall under normal operating expenses and working capital. And I'll get to that in a second in more detail. Let's go to the next slide, please. So this program, the way it's beneficial to small business owner as you are seeking to recover and grow from a difficult time, is the repayment flexibility and the use of funds. So relative to the market, this is a relatively low interest rate, 3.75 for small business, 2.75% for nonprofit. The low interest rate and the extended repayment period means that the burden of repayment is significantly lower relative to market alternatives. So you can use these loan funds on what you need to do to get to recovery. You defer the payment for a couple years, and then when the payment repayment kicks in, it's extended over decades. And so the monthly payment is significantly smaller than other market options would offer. For example, if you get a $10,000 COVID EIDL microloan, depending on deferment, you're looking at a monthly payment of less than $50. The use of funds, as I mentioned before, there's flexibility. This differs from PPP. PPP had kind of guardrails around how you needed to use the funds to achieve the forgivable nature or status of it. For COVID EIDL, it is not forgivable. A benefit that comes with that is you have more flexibility on the use of funds. All normal operating expenses and working capital are fair use of the funds. Some examples are credit card payments, or payments on commercial debt in general, but we know a lot of small businesses were put in a position to take unfavorable commercial debt or commercial debt at particularly unfavorable terms out of pressure to survive the pandemic. Business credit cards being one common one. You can use this to wipe out that balance. You can use this on increased wages. There's a labor shortage, pumping up the wages, and many small businesses are struggling to have the capital to bring in those employees to meet the consumers that are coming into their door. So you can use these funds for that. You can use them for accumulated debt. We know rent. We know that rent deferment has been very helpful for small businesses, but that's ended, either has already ended or is going to end, presenting a significant burden on small businesses that you can address with COVID EIDL funds. Increased cost of goods sold, increase a variety of expenses, and these are just some examples. And so in summary there, in terms of use, you get these funds, you use them on what you need to do to recover. You can delay the repayment for up to a couple of years. And then when the repayment comes in, the burden is significantly lower than market alternatives. How do you apply? So in terms of eligibility, you as a small business need to be 500 employees or fewer. This includes one person employee small businesses. You could be a self-employed small business, sole proprietorship. This includes you. The credit score must be at least 570. If you are not there, if you are just not quite at 570 as a small business owner, I would recommend working on building your credit score, and you can come back to these types of programs. I have engaged with small business owners who the pandemic was a particularly difficult time, put them down in terms of credit. They go, they focus on that, they build it back up, and they're able to access these resources. The COVID EIDL program is focused on supporting businesses that have been weathering the pandemic. As a result, you need to have been in business or invested in launching your business by January 2020. If you started your business February 2020 or later, or you're looking to start a new business, COVID EIDL is not the program for you, but there are other SBA resources that can support you at sba.gov. Let's get to the loan amount. A key distinction here is that you have to first qualify for a certain loan amount, and the way you qualify is by putting your revenue and cost of goods sold data into the application. And so let's do an example. If we're in business, you take your 2019 tax returns, you take your 2019 annual revenue, let's say that was 200,000. You take your 2019 cost of goods sold, let's say that was 100,000. You subtract them. So 200,000 minus 100,000, that equals 100,000. You multiply that times 2, that equals 200,000. That is the total eligible loan amount, meaning you can apply for up to 200,000 COVID EIDL funds. You do not have to apply for that whole amount. You could be eligible for 200,000 and apply for 150,000. But the point is you can't apply for more than your eligible amount. It is possible that your eligible amount is above the current cap. So it's possible that, let's say your 2019 annual revenue was 1 million and your annual cost of goods sold were 500,000. 1 million minus 500,000, that equals 500,000. times 2 equals 1 million, means you are eligible for $1 million. Currently, that cap is at 500,000, so you would only be allowed to apply for that 500,000. But as the senator mentioned about the conversations and progress and an announcement about a cap increase, that would change that scenario for you if that's your case as a small business owner. Let's get to the next slide on process improvements. Great. So I know some small business owners in conversation today are familiar with the COVID EIDL program and have applied and are seeking information around that. So we have some important announcements to make that reference the senator's point on improving how we process these applications and meet the needs of this program. The COVID EIDL program was transitioned from the Office of Disaster Assistance to the Office of Capital Access at the end of June. So about a bit over a month ago. And with that transition, the SBA was able to dedicate more management capacity and resources to this program. And the agency implemented new processes and performance management methods, and also dedicated additional personnel to COVID EIDL. And this has resulted in significant improvements and increased capacity. The SBA went at the start of, right before this transition, or right at the start of this transition, and improvements that were possible. The SBA went from processing less than 2,000 loan increase applications a day on June 28th to being able to do over 37,000 loan applications in a day on July 28th. So that's a 22-fold increase in production efficiency. This was achieved, as I mentioned before, process improvements, performance management changes, personnel additions, and also loan officer productivity. So at the start of this transition and these changes, loan officer productivity was at less than 2 applications per day, and it's currently able to go to 15. So if you are in the backlog for loan increase applications, we are clearing tens of thousands of those out by the day, and that will be closed out most in early August, and all except for certain circumstances mid-August. So we're looking at the next week or two. You should expect to see your application decision arrive. We've also improved our customer service. We've actually tripled our capacity. I know this is doubling, but just yesterday I got the numbers and we were able to do more. And so that means if you got a loan decline and you think that's not that you met the eligibility, it is very possible that you can get approved and there was an issue, and those are some things that we're improving. So apply for reconsideration. It's in your decline letter. Go through the reconsideration process. Before you apply, go to the website for COVID EIDL. I'll put that in the chat here. It's sba.gov/EIDL. Review the FAQs that have just been uploaded yesterday that include common reasons for decline. Review what might have happened that was an issue for your application. And when you apply for reconsideration, see if there's some fixes that you can do. Then contact your local field office. I'll also provide the link for that. If you have been approved and haven't gotten your funds yet, and it's been at least 10 business days, it's possible your bank information needs to be updated. So you also need to contact your field to get a rep to help you change that. I'll provide the link for that. And finally, in terms of outreach, we're investing in outreach in conversations like these to make sure everyone has the information they need. That's all.
Thanks, Veronica. Now we're going to go to John Fleming, who is the acting regional administrator for the U.S. Small Business Administration. In this role, Mr. Fleming is responsible for the delivery of management of the agency's programs throughout the state of Delaware, where he is also the district director. Mr. Fleming started his SBA career in 1992 and served in various positions, including Deputy District Director of the SBA's Delaware District Office, Lead Business Development Specialist, Chief Credit Officer, Marketing Specialist, and Public Information Officer. I'm so excited to introduce John. Thank you so much, John.
Hey, hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. And these are really unprecedented times at the SBA, as we all know. So just wanted to point out the importance of this webinar to be a part of it. thank you for your time. This is the first time I've ever been on a webinar with both the U.S. Senator as well as our administrator. So I hope everyone enjoys the information that we have and finds it useful. But it certainly shows our demonstration, or demonstrates our importance, the importance of this information. So thank you again for your time. So we've been mentioning a couple of programs here, a package of programs really that was launched 18 months ago under COVID relief efforts. And the remaining two that are still active, and the Senator mentioned those, they're still active for shuttered venue operating grants, and you can go directly to SBA for that grant. We just had local people run a theater here in Maryland, and they were able to get a turnaround time within 5 days. So that program is available even if you're not a venue, if you're a booker, a producer, booking agent, even if you're talent, even if you're a musician that had some of your shows canceled, this is available. So I encourage you to do that, and there's money in that program. The next program, the RRF, is still being distributed. We received, as the Senator mentioned, we received many applications for this, and they are hoping and expecting we'll get more funds in the future here. But that was another very targeted, specific program that happened in 2021 with the various laws that put that into place, and we've had good success stories under that as well. Next slide. So we mentioned earlier Paycheck Protection. That was an amazing program that came out that it did two things. One, it kept the unemployment rate down at the time, and it allowed business owners to increase the amount of capital they had based upon their number of employees. And one of the things that was great about this program was that every time they changed it, every single time, the last administration or the new administration, the Biden administration, when they made these changes, it was for the better. We were doing frequently asked questions almost on a daily basis. And the program got better. It included more people. It took some time, we'll admit that, but it included more people. So now what we're in the forgiveness stage. Step one, you can contact your lender and complete the form. If things go well, that's great. Complete your documentation, they submit it. You have your complete application. That works out 99% of the time. That's worked out well. There are some issues or challenges, I think, with some lenders, some large lenders nationwide, and some of the smaller lenders like credit unions that are not ready for forgiveness yet. They needed a little prompting. So what we're doing is we just announced, the administrator announced it yesterday, that the portal opened up. You can go directly to sba.gov and do what's called direct forgiveness. That will prompt your lender to move that application forward, and that's real important because that's a timely issue at this time. Next. Okay, so this is kind of what this slide shows, what SBA looked like before the pandemic, and we're going to go into each one of these. We tried to be everything to everybody a little bit for small businesses, try to be as many, kind of a one-stop shop for small businesses. And so these 5 programs really take up most of what we do at the SBA. So I'll go into each one of those. Next. Okay, so we have our SBA lending programs. This was pre-COVID. They're still running during COVID. In fact, under these programs, the fees are waived. It's important. This is timely. The fees for all 3 of these programs, 7A, 504, and microlending, are waived until September 30th of this year, 2021. Not sure if they're going to extend that, meaning is Congress going to extend that? But the fees are waived for these programs, and that has helped. It provides a higher guarantee for these programs, which means that your lenders will be more apt to, more able to do these programs. And in fact, SBA, apart from the PPP and other COVID relief efforts, we're going to enjoy a record year this year under 7A and 504. So it shows that lenders are lending under the regular program, and I encourage everyone to take advantage of it. Now, 7A is kind of our general program, working capital. You have a lower interest rate, a capped interest rate. You have a longer term. That's the big thing under 7A is we don't require collateral on every loan, and we allow you a longer term under 7A. So there is an advantage of using 7A if you're a small business owner, and you would go ahead and contact your lender. This is a guaranteed program, meaning that you don't go to sba.gov to apply. You go to a participating lender, and we're now working with over 6,000 lenders. So I encourage you to reach out, to contact them, and they will hopefully be able to get you through the 7A program. If you have some challenges doing that, you can contact one of the local offices. Later on in the program, we'll give you some information about how to contact your local district office. 504 loan is usually long-term fixed financing for real estate and equipment. It's rarely used for equipment. It's mostly real estate. It could go out as far as 30 years. And the key here is you get a low fixed rate. So that's the advantage of using 504. There are some employment conditions that are in there. Take a look at 504, and they are administered through what we call certified development companies. That could be, if you Google 504 CDC, they'll pop up. A list of them will pop up. These lenders, the 504 CDCs, are they're restricted to regional areas. Most of them work in 1 or 2 states, so you have to look for a local CDC if you're interested in the 504 loan program. And then last but not least is the microloan program. That is usually through a nonprofit organization that does smaller loans, 50,000 or below. Those organizations can also usually participate in 7A, but in some cases, microloan might make sense. They don't have the same requirements as a 7A. They're easier to get, but they're a smaller amount, and they have pretty good terms. So that could be an option for many of the micro loan or micro businesses that are out there. Next one. Okay, Lender Match. This was a lot of fun when it came out. I remember Lender Match. It's kind of it's almost like a Match.com for small businesses. It's very user friendly. You see the website to get to it, sba.gov/lendermatch. And there's the disclaimer, if you use Lender Match, it doesn't mean you're going to get an offer for a loan. It just puts your name out there. So it'll ask you some very quick information, very quick and easy to get your name out there to the lenders. And believe me, lenders will look at this program. They like to take a look and see what's in their area. Some lenders may not want to lend to certain types of businesses. Some lenders don't like lending to, let's say, a restaurant business, then they won't look at your loan. But it gives a lender a quick idea of what you're looking for, how much you're looking for, and what area you're going to operate. And it's pretty good. It's a very good match service. And the key here is that it's free. So you can apply through them through going directly to sba.gov/lendermatch. And then they'll once they contact you, they'll walk you through the process of applying for an SBA loan. Next. Disaster relief. And again, this is pre-COVID. The disaster relief program normally is used for economic injury following a disaster like a fire, flood, earthquake, whatever it may be. Even this is used every year for all the different disasters that occur throughout the country. Obviously under COVID idle, we were able to turn this program on immediately, and the entire country was declared a COVID disaster area. It has not been, the entire country has not been affected until the last time this happened was after the 9/11 attacks, and we made it eligible for folks throughout the country. Not only is it small businesses, but it's also nonprofit businesses are eligible, as well as agriculture cooperatives are eligible as well. So it's the idea here is, as far as how to use the money, use of proceeds, is that we want you to recover as quickly as possible. So it could be used for rent, utilities, any kind of fixed debt payment, normal expenses to get you back to recovery. And you apply directly for this program if it comes up, if God forbid a disaster happens, and you apply directly to sba.gov. Look for the disaster relief program. One of the things that I did want to mention under this slide was that even if you're not affected physically by a disaster, let's say your supplier is in another state, let's say state of Florida, and there happens to be a hurricane go through there and it affects your supplier. If you are economically hurt by that disaster, you can apply for a disaster relief loan because your supplier has obviously affected your ability to run a business. So that is available as well through disaster relief. So check that out, and that could be a benefit to small businesses if it's needed. Next slide. Investment capital. This is a question that we get from time to time. So our version of the investment capital or the venture capital world is what's called SBIC, Small Business Investment Companies. These are private investment companies that are licensed by SBA. They're privately owned and regulated, but they are licensed and regulated by the SBA. Sometimes they use SBA or government funds to leverage their funds. Sometimes they do not. It just depends on their business model and how they want to work it. So if you're in that area, if you have an SBIC qualify or a business that may lend itself to investors rather than debt, it might make sense to check out the SBIC program. The good news is it's regulated by the SBA. It's always better and you get a little more protection when you're regulated by the feds when you're a lender than not. These are long-term larger projects that would make sense under SBIC. So if you go onto their website, sometimes they'll have specialties. You might have an SBIC that specializes in technology or biotech, something along those lines. They're usually larger projects that require lots of investment, and it might make sense if you're in that realm to take a look at the SBIC program. Next one. Surety bonds. So surety bonds, it's a program that's designed to help businesses that win contracts, and they provide a guarantee. So we provide a guarantee on a surety bond. So it's a lot like the 7A program, where you wouldn't qualify if you can't qualify for a normal surety bond, a conventional surety bond. It may be that the project is larger than what you're used to bidding on, and you couldn't get a surety bond for that. It may be that you're too new in business. Maybe you're less than 3 years in business. You might need to use a surety bond, our surety bond program instead of the conventional bond program. So the way this works, again, a lot like a 7A loan. You would contact one of our surety bond agents. There's lots of bonding companies out there, but there's only certain ones that will work with SBA to write the surety bonds. So not every one of them participates, just like not every lender participates in our lending program. So contact them. They will partner with you. The SBA will provide a guarantee on that bond, and then the small business goes ahead and uses the bond and is able to work with whatever government agency has given them the contract. So very good program itself. It's funded well. It works pretty quickly, but it's not, I don't think enough people know about it. So I'm glad it's part of today's webinar. Next one. Okay. As I said earlier, I know we try to cover all of our bases when it comes to small business, and we have a dedicated team and individuals that are out in the field that can help you with exporting needs as a small business. Everything from exporting intelligence, and you see the website there, sba.gov/trade tools. We can help you find overseas buyers through what's called the STEP program. This is very good. It's a program that's offered in, I believe it's in every state now. And if you're interested in trying to find overseas buyers, and we understand that there's a cost to that, whether it's a some research cost or hiring folks, or even visiting foreign countries to work with buyers and find overseas buyers. The STEP program allows for grants to repay you for expenses that you incurred for some of these trips to go ahead and find overseas buyers. They're usually, the trips are run by your state agency. So you would contact SBA and we can help you figure out who's working with SBA in your particular state. We have a very good one in Delaware, and Pennsylvania, I'm aware, is a very good one, and so is Maryland, because exporting is a big part of what we do here on the East Coast. So take a look at that if you're interested in going overseas. And then last but not least, we of course have special programs for funding your international business. If you're interested in that program, a lot of lenders will work with SBA to provide guarantees for exporting. The key to that program is that the guarantees are usually higher than the 7A. So instead of a 75% guarantee, you can go as high as 90% when it comes to capital, and it gives your lender a lot more flexibility. So if you are interested in exporting, take a look at our exporting programs, and I think you'll find them helpful. Next one. All right, let's go digital. So we have trade expansion programs that'll help you go digital. We have, I mentioned the STEP program itself. So it's not just overseas, it's also for paying the fees to Department of Commerce, translate websites, all that good stuff. So it's not just your travel expenses, it's also for going digital as well. So again, contact us or your state export office, and we'll make sure that we help you by using STEP. Next slide. So here is a list of kind of folks that help out. We call these folks resource partners, and as you can see, there's quite a list here. Our main ones are through the SBDC score, and of course the Women's Center. Later on was added. We've added several other partners. You see veterans organizations. You see educational institutions. These are all folks that help SBA to help you. They're all grant recipients. We give these organizations grants, and their job is to turn around and help you with technical assistance. My 29 years at the SBA, people ask me questions about running a small business, and I say, well, I'm a program expert, but I'm not a small business expert. You need to speak to one of these organizations. Sit down with a mentor or attend a class. It could be online, or enter one of their programs that's specifically designed for veterans or women, or maybe an industry program. But you'll find that SBA has many partners out in the field, and they can help you understand the programs, and as well as help you understand on how to run a small business. Next one. Okay. Oh, and this is the Navigator program. I'm just part of the screen gets blocked out here, but so this Navigator program was launched in response to and during the COVID crisis, and the idea is to use local organizations that are already doing work in communities and to have them navigate exactly what it says, navigate through our system. So it's outreach, education, and just to increase awareness of the SBA's programs. Because I know, as you go through this and you might wonder, well, why do we need navigators? It became very apparent during the COVID crisis that we needed navigators. We needed people that were out in the field. I mean, we have most offices out in the district have less than 12 people or 15 people. In Delaware, we only have 6 people. So we cannot reach every community. It just can't be done with that few people. So what we're doing and relying upon is this Navigator program that's rolling out here. And so you may run into a local organization. I'm sure they're going, once these Navigators awards are, grants are awarded, you're going to find navigators in every community to help out small businesses. And we're looking forward to working with these navigators and how this is going to work. So it's stay tuned for that, and you'll find that they'll be very, very helpful. Is that my last slide?
Yes, John, thanks so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And with that, we're really, really excited to say that as well, that you can also check out other opportunities such as private and state and local opportunities too. Just be sure to do a Google search and you'll be able to see other opportunities of potential access to capital that are maybe available for you. Next slide, please. We're going to talk very quickly about vaccines. As everyone knows, the Delta variant is here, and there are numerous CDC rules that are coming out every day. And in order to open your business or continue doing business, it is very important as a small business leader that you stay abreast of the issue. You have a plan, that you commit to a plan, and you do your due diligence by checking in with the CDC and making sure you check in with your local government to ensure that you're following the best policies and rules and regulations for what you would need to do for your business. You need to make sure with your plan, you communicate that with your staff, both written and verbally, and ensure that you answer any questions and talk to your employees about vaccinations. Make sure that you have a vaccination plan, let them know what it is. Again, talk to your employees about what it is that they need to do. You can go to vaccinefinder.org to get more resources as well. Next slide, please. And then also there are tax credits available. There's more information here. You should definitely consult with your tax professional as to what type of tax credit you may be eligible for. There's the employee retention tax credit and paid leave, and both could be something that you could utilize in ensuring that you're providing opportunities for your employees to get vaccinated, and whether they need to take time off to do the actual vaccination or take time to have the ability to heal afterwards. But again, consult your tax professional, and we have resources available for you to do that research. And then finally, we're talking about taking your business digital. As we know, with COVID being here, having web presence and for awareness of your company is really important. You want to have e-commerce capabilities. You want to have the ability to fulfill your business orders with no touch as much as possible. And we want you to make sure that you're able to do this and ask yourself as you're moving to a digital opportunity, several questions. And that's, do you have a website? Do you have ways to receive payments digitally? And more specifically, can you do no contact transactions? And if you're doing those things, you are doing right and making sure you're moving forward and going digitally. And with that, I'd love to bring John back to talk about the Mid-Atlantic region, district offices, and anything that's going on in the region. Back to you, John.
Thank you so much for that. You have here a listing of the offices in my region. You have each one of them contains a dedicated staff of professionals that can help you through and help you understand which program may be best for you. I encourage you to visit their websites. We sometimes will have specialized training for small businesses. I know in the Delaware office, as well as others, they have two main training sessions. One is on accessing capital, which will include questions about PPP, as well as our other programs, 7A and 504. And then we also have contracting programs. A lot of what we do at SBA is to help you understand how to get government contracts. The Congress has set a goal of 23% of all contracts must go to small businesses. And SBA's mission, part of our mission, is to help you do that. We have professionals on staff that can help you understand the world of government contracting, which is very, very complex. I know each one of the directors of these offices are very seasoned, very professional leaders who can help you understand the program and have many years of experience. So contact them directly, and they'll work with you, and their staff will work with you to help understand which program works best for your particular small business. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. And with that, love to bring both you and Veronica on for just a couple of quick questions that we're seeing in the Q&A. I just want to let people know that we're just going to do a couple of brief questions that we saw. We're not going to answer any specific questions. We're going to just try to do some general themes that we saw. Actually, we have Veronica who had to drop, so I apologize. But John, we have you here. Just wanted to ask a couple quick questions before we go. What's the difference between regional and district offices in terms of services?
Good question. The district offices are it's a more direct service. They meet directly with small businesses. The regional office, our role is to work with central office and get information out to the districts that they may need. A lot of the regional office stuff functions end up being internal, to be honest with you. There's only 3 people in the region staff for the whole region, so we do rely heavily upon your district. So small businesses should go ahead and contact their district and not necessarily their region. Although if you want, I mean, I know there's some questions that are going to pop up. There's thousands of businesses on this call. That's exciting. But if they want to email me directly, I can get them to the correct district, or perhaps I'd be able to answer their question directly. I can do that. My email is john.fleming@sba.gov. You see it on the screen. So thank you.
Well, thanks, John. And then also another thing I think a lot of people want to know is, especially when they have questions about their applications, whether it's EIDL, Paycheck Protection, forgiveness, how can the district office assist them with any of those type of questions that they may have?
Yeah, that's a great question, because in the beginning we were kind of handcuffed. We were not able to help people understand the problems that they were having with their EIDL loans. Under PPP, we were able to say, hey, go contact your lender, they're handling it. But under EIDL, knowing that's an SBA program, we were able to either send them to frequently asked questions, or we were able to help them themselves. But a lot of times they needed individual help. So you can go ahead and try the customer service line for disaster, call them or send them an email. But sometimes that you need to contact the district office, and we're able to help you understand where some of the issues are. But we're not able to fix things. So if you've messed up or transposed some numbers on your bank account, we can't fix that. That's something that you need to do or the center needs to do. But what we can do is we can identify the problem. We can sit in, instead of just wondering what was going wrong with your application, people in the district now can see your application and tell you what the issue is. And most of the time we can tell you how to fix it. At that point, it's up to you to go ahead and fix it and work with the center to do that.
Well, thank you for that. And I actually just dropped into the chat, so all attendees should be able to see this. For COVID idle FAQ, I just dropped a link. So I know there was quite a few questions about the COVID idle. So there is a link you should be able to click on for that. And then also for people who are looking for a field office, they should be able to click on that link as well. So I just dropped that into the chat. So everybody, if you're able to look in your chat, you'll see information for, again, the COVID idle FAQ, and then for able to find a field office. And now also, I know there are over several thousand questions that were in the Q&A, and you're all wondering, hey, no one got to me. No one responded to my question. I really want to know how to get in my portal. No one is telling me about the IRS transcript. I don't understand about my idle loan for a reason of failure to pay child support. I can't get it. What's going on? Don't worry. We have all of your questions, and we are going to give this to the SBA. And so they are going to work diligently to try to address some of these questions and try to make sure that they're uploading these responses to the FAQ, that link that I just dropped into the chat, so that you could stay abreast of how these questions that you all are having are being addressed and updated. So we are working diligently. We do apologize. We know there are tons of questions. A lot is happening, and we know that many of you are trying to save your business, and it is very important that we get you these resources and answers to these very, very dire and important questions. So we are doing our best, and we will make sure that we are able to try to get these responses as quickly as swiftly as possible. And with that, John, are there any parting words you have for our small business owners in your region?
Well, Renee, it was just what you said earlier. No, we're working hard to do this. I mean, if you compare, to help every small business we can. I mean, if you compare where we were normally, normally we're looking at about 120,000 transactions, maybe, $40 billion in lending, and hits to our website are there. But we went from that to, some of the numbers that the senator threw out, 20 million. So to go from 100,000 to 20 million without additional staff has been a challenge. Technology has helped, and we know that, it was a little clunky when we rolled out, but please be patient with us. We're working the best we can. And even when we wipe out, let's say we wipe out 85-90% of your questions, 10% is still a lot to go to respond directly to. So please work with us and know that we're here to help everyone we can in the fastest time possible. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Want to thank Senator Cardin. Want to thank the Administrator Guzman, Veronica, you, John, and the SBA team for all they've done today. Also want to put out there the U.S. Small Business Administration will host the 2021 National Small Business Week Virtual Summit from September 13th through the 15th. So go to the sba.gov NSBW to register and learn more. It is 100% free. There's no payment or anything that you need to do. Great speakers, opportunities to learn more about programs the SBA has, and also resources for your business. And again, I know many of you are wondering about the slides, the presentation. A copy of this will be emailed to everyone who registered. If you're watching this on Facebook live stream, you'll get a copy of that too, because you'll just need to go back to Facebook Live. So you can watch it anytime you want to. It's on the SBA Facebook page, as well as Public-Private Strategies Facebook page. And then also, if you have any additional SBA related questions, go to answerdesk@sba.gov. And if you are not registered but would like a copy of this webinar, go to events@publicprivatestrategies.com. You can also view any of the webinars that we had in the series, just going to the Facebook page, and you can review all of those, as well as the COVID idle webinars that we had last week as well. And with that, We do, again, thank everyone for joining us throughout this series. And we thank you all so much. And we hope you have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.